This is Lammz, and do you have any idea what he does with his life in Tears of the Kingdom? Or what about this guy that just walked by? What's his deal? The thing is, I don't know, and I think it's time that we all found out. I want to know Lammz better than Lammz knows Lammz. So without delay, this is the Life of Lammz. We caught up with Lammz on Big Twin Bridge next to this guy who we may get into later, where Lammz seems surprised to see that the bridge is out. When talking to him, he brings up Link's big eyes and bushy tail and that the bridge to the stable has been destroyed. There are disaster measures in place, and he asks Link to be extra careful if trying to cross. Now Lammz just waits around here staring at the broken bridge until 9 a.m. when he and his traveling donkey start their journey, exclaiming, "Such problematic ruins." Quick sidetrack, I love Lammz and his traveling donkey companion. One of the purest friendships I have ever seen. It does remind me of Shrek and Donkey. There are some evil bokoblins nearby, but after Link gets rid of them, their journey can officially begin. Lammz's donkey walks a little slower than he, and has to do a cute little jog to catch up. Now as they pass through the dueling peaks, the only real scare or potential change comes when they pass by the swimming Lizalfos. There is a small chance they perfectly time their walk by these monsters and don't get seen, but most likely the silver Lizalfos will notice them and attack, bringing attention to the other one who swims over to join. Lammz runs and hides, and without Link here, who knows what would normally happen to them. Fortunately, Link is here, so we don't have to think about that. Lammz thanks Link with a tough pumpkin pie, but the dishes he gives out varies. Once through dueling peaks, we got our first big change in Lammz's life. From the bridge through the peaks, Lammz talks about needing the bridge to get to the nearby stable, but that it has been destroyed by the falling ruins. Once through the dueling peaks, his prompt changes to the mechanical figures. And if you talk to him, he talks about the sightings of the constructs near the ruins that fell, confused as to what they are and warns you to be careful. Truly riveting stuff coming from Lammz. He follows this trail until he runs into Dory, a traveling mushroom merchant. Lammz and his donkey will move out of the way until they have passed, meaning Lammz and his donkey are the purest of souls. Continuing on the trail, Lammz will eventually reach this tree, where he decides to take a rest, stating that he would like to get a good night's sleep at an inn every now and again, and that it would get rid of all of his fatigue in one go. I wish that would happen to me. I just sleep at a hotel and all of my worries just disappear. And don't forget this line as we keep going on his journey. About an hour later, Lammz will get up and continues west. His prompt changes to "gotta be quite a hole," which is very provocative, but is really just about the chasm on the other side of the Proxim Bridge and how falling in would be a one-way ticket to the afterlife. Now I'm going to let you in on a little editing secret. What you don't know is that Link is about to get hit with a rock spit out from an Octorok. Theoretically, he could just stand here and let time cease to exist, which would kind of solve this whole Demon King issue if we just stop time altogether. But alas, this video has to continue somehow. The gang strolls past the monsters and constructs mentioned earlier without being seen. Once Lammz approaches the Proxim Bridge, he decides to take shelter nearby, stating he'd rather not get close. When talking to him, he thinks no one would willingly approach the outpost to the west because of the huge, creepy chasm and the area being filled with gloom. You see, the chasm that has been on his mind ever since he got up from the tree was now kind of in sight. I mean, it's there, but I'm just curious what he's really looking at. He stays for about an hour and a half before continuing his journey back to the dueling peaks. His prompt changes on his way back, saying "fallen," and that's curtains. Now this line just shocked me. I don't know why I'm so surprised to see Lammz use this slang meaning of curtains, but I appreciate this kind of lingo being put into this completely random character. And let's be clear, Lammz is not wrong. For most people without a paraglider, it would be curtains if you fall in. And I understand why he wouldn't even go that way. He has a donkey that he has to protect, and we cannot be risking that. Lammz's return journey is no more exciting than it was on the way to the bridge. His prompts will change on the same cadence, so at least there is some variety there. Between Proxim Bridge and the rest tree, it's all curtain talk. And from the tree to dueling peaks, his prompt changes to monsters and figures, wondering why the constructs and monsters are at odds with each other since they wouldn't even be fighting over food. And while in dueling peaks, his prompt changes again to "got to cross the bridge," talking about how the bridge was destroyed by falling ruins and that disaster measures have been put into effect, but to still be be careful near said bridge. Also, when getting up from the tree, the donkey can have a little trouble getting back on track and may have to do some workaround just to get there. But Lammz will always stop and wait for his friend to join him. It's just such a beautiful companionship. He will eventually run into Dorrit again and just smoothly gets out of the way for the traveling merchant to get through. Upon returning to the bridge, he is, for some reason, surprised to see that it is really out. Yeah, I know it just started raining and that completely changes things, but we just need to pause here and come to terms with this thought logic. I understand that Lammz is trying to head to the inn at Dueling Peaks stable to get a good night's rest, as he stated that while resting under the tree. But the bridge being gone should be of no surprise here. I mean, he was at this very bridge just a few days ago. Plus, this is it. Like, this is his entire life. His entire journey is just walking between these two bridges. So the fact that this bridge is out should not be of shock to him. However, let's notice that Lammz could easily use the shitty path nearby to get to the inn, but I am not confident that his donkey would make it. So Lammz says, screw that. I'm staying with my guy no matter what. Even if that means he'll be walking back and forth forever. Okay, now I need to get back to the major event that actually just happened. The rain. Rain is the most difficult thing to deal with in Hyrule for most NPCs outside of, eternal hell being brought by the Demon King. The rain drives them into a panic as they run for cover, some more successful than others. In the case of Lammz, he bolts for this exact tree, and he will run there from anywhere on his path. If he passes the tree that he normally rests at, he will instinctually just stop there for a quick rest before getting up to run to the rain tree. And when he gets to said tree, his donkey will do a little shake that animals do to get water off of them. And when coming from the east, I don't know why he just doesn't stop somewhere under the Dueling Peaks, because there is certainly some cover. You can see that this guy, who we will get to, can find some cover nearby, but for some reason Lammz has to keep going. And if the rain does stop while he is running, then he will just slow down and keep walking. Wherever he is at on this path, he will just continue on, almost as if no rain even happened. But this is the life of Lammz and his donkey. What a delightful duo that they turned out to be. However, I am curious now as to what this man is up to. And this is the life of Sango. If we remember earlier, Sango and Lammz' journeys began together at the Big Twin Bridge, and they both left and followed the same path through the Dueling Peaks. Now, I caught up with Sango as he exited the Dueling Peaks, talking about a suspicious cliff. Sango calls Link the purveyor of underpants excellence, essentially just calling him the goat of wearing underpants. Now, this is a 100% save file, and before this, Link completed the quest for our princess, where Link finds Sango and Dramp borderline naked trying to go defeat some monsters, since they thought Zelda had told them to do so in their underpants. Now, of course, Link shows them how it's done, and he is hailed the Underpants King, which makes this line in the present time make way more sense. Formerly from the Zonai survey team, Sango has changed professions and is now on the search for Misko's hidden treasures, believing there is one in the cliffs of Dueling Peaks. Sango continues his walk until he hits the fallen Zonai rocks, where he stops to look over at the ruins across the path. His Zonai survey team ways cloud his mind, and he is curious as to what is going on over there. But then he gets angry at himself for thinking about these ruins and focuses again on finding Misko's treasure at the Dueling Peaks. Speaking to him again, he just can't believe that the treasure could be at the top of the cliff. Now, the cliff that Sango is looking for is this one, where you can find inside Tingle's shirt. And if you wear Tingle's shirt and walk up to Sango, he gets so startled at your appearance. But he doesn't even think to mention that this is the exact treasure that he is looking for. It's like putting a treat in front of a blind dog and not even telling him it's there. I mean, they don't even know what's happening, but the idea of it is harsh. And also, just every other NPC gets startled by this look, so it isn't just him. Sango gets back to the Big Twin Bridge and looks towards the sky, as that is where his eyes tend to wander to look at the ruins or sky islands. But again, he just gets mad at himself for thinking about this and heads back to Dueling Peaks to look for the treasure. And this is all that Sango does. He walks through the Dueling Peaks looking for Misko's treasure forever. And earlier we saw that when it rains, he just finds a spot somewhere under the peaks to take cover. He has a few options, but he just runs to whichever is closest. And that is the life of Sango, Lammz, and his donkey. What thrilling lives that they live. If there's anyone else you want to know about, I'll just let me know and I'll figure it out. And thank you all for tuning in.